Hitesh might be surprised seeing me. He's used to seeing mom. And I don't think we've ever had the chance to directly interact because he gave this platform to mom with a lot of faith and an open hand. And we just sort of, it was started by her, but carried forward by us together jointly. And it's so nice to actually be in this space here today, able to host him and able to be with him on the same platform as well. I see one hand already raised up, and I'm not quite sure why that is so early in the morning. But regardless, it's great to have everyone here. And without much ado, I know that there were so many things that Hitesh was excited about sharing with all of us today. So many releases, so many different ways of approaching things. So without further ado, I hand over the platform to Hitesh from Joining Hands. Welcome, Hitesh.
Hey, thank you so much. Richa, right?
Yes.
Thank you so much. I know we've spoken on the phone once long back, but I know we've never
very long back, very long, maybe before Daily Theta as well. When Joining Hands came together as such a wonderful platform as well, I remember having some interactions with your team and with maybe you as well.
Yes. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Hey, everyone. Good morning. I'm really excited about today. I've been thinking all morning, what do I want to do? What do I want to do? I think it's the energy in the air. So I'm going to start, and I've tried to break this down in my head. You know, a lot of times when we are anxious, we pre-plan. I'm one of those people who starts planning things in my head before I really come in. So I believe that I have an intuitive part, but I also have a part that's really planning everything. So I put a question on the chat for you. If you could quickly answer this by just putting in 1 or 2 on the chat.
Oh, wow. That wonderful quote by Wayne Dyer.
Yes. Who do you think we are? Are we physical beings with a spiritual experience, or are we spiritual beings with a physical experience? I think we're clearly tilting towards 2, which I think is what this group is all about. So there is a next question that I will ask towards the end of the session, which is already ready, and which will give us more clarity onto where we look at and how we position ourselves in day-to-day life. Yeah. So, okay. So what we're here today to look at, and what I want to do today is give everyone in this room, you know, I'm sure all of you are aware of Theta. You're aware of a lot of modalities, and you're aware of how things work. And I'm sure you've also used a lot of these tools in your life. You've been to, you've learned therapy, or you've been to Sangeeta or Richa for sessions and so on. Anusha, I'll come to that question later on. But here, what I'm going to talk about today is simple tools in day-to-day life. You know, for example, your maid does not turn up today, or your driver does not turn up today. Corey, these are
very Indian issues.
Very Indian issues. So we have issues, and I mean, a typical family in India would have at least 3 to 4 help around the house. And if let's say your help or your maid or staff does not turn up at home today, how would you really deal with situations like this? You know, you tend to get angry. You tend to start understanding how your day is going to be. Or your husband says, I'm going to take you out for dinner tonight. And suddenly at 8 o'clock, he calls up saying, listen, my boss wants to take us all for drinks. So I need to take my colleagues out or something like that. And how do you really respond? Now, for these day-to-day things, what really happens is we normally don't tend to go for therapy. We normally don't, even those who meditate, unless you're a very advanced meditator, we normally don't tend to look at these things as issues in our life. Because we become so accustomed to this as being a way of life, we really never look at things that, oh, are these issues do I need to visit my therapist for? And actually, you really don't. You really don't need to look at a therapist. What we tend to look at therapy or therapists for is larger issues like, I see a pattern in my life. I'm not able to attract the right life partner, or I have a challenge with finances, with property, or certain kind of diseases. But what really happens in our life, in our day-to-day life, these smaller elements start becoming so important, they tend to, move our balance away. Because you might say that I'm a spiritual being here to enjoy the physical realm. But today, if your help does not turn up, or you're driving to office and there's an accident, and there's a great lineup of cars ahead of you, you are not going to be spiritual. You're going to become a physical human being and say, take my spirituality, throw it out of the window. Today, I need to deal with the shit that's happening. All your, and it happened with the best of therapists, it happened with the best of healers, that when we're living in that moment, we tend to throw everything out of the window. So today, we're going to talk about a few tricks. I've written down 5, and I want to really get through these 5 today. Or what are the small tricks you can incorporate in your everyday life? And be aware that these are the things that I can do in my everyday life to understand and be aware of how I need to get my calm back in life, how I need to get my spiritual being back into my body. Because the second, we all get angry. I don't think anybody does not get angry. It's a human. A lot of us say that I don't get angry, which is not true. You have just suppressed your anger. Or you've been told as a child, being angry is not a good thing. If you're born in India, you're probably told, if you're a girl, you can't express anger. So these are the things that we've been conditioned to. What we're going to do is these 5 techniques today. It's 9:09 in my clock. I'm going to ensure that by 9:20, I can show these to you. Then we can spend maybe 10 minutes practicing these techniques. Okay. So anchors will cover last, but we'll look at the doggy shake. I have to remove my earphones. Yeah. Okay. And I'm going to try, I've done a little setup here. Okay. How many of you have a dog at home? Or have seen a dog?
I think everyone's seen a dog.
You've all seen a dog.
I can pull up a picture on Google for those of you who haven't seen a dog.
Real close. Like, have you lived with a dog in your house? Yeah. And if you, you have. So have you noticed that when a dog has a bath or you bathe a dog, what does the dog do after that?
Shake it off.
They shake. Why do they shake them off? It's the excess water. Yeah. The dogs shake off the excess water that they don't need in their space. Similarly, now we are energy beings. So we all have understood and acknowledged we're spiritual beings, we're energy beings. When we are angry, when we are upset, when you are really down, let's say, you've had somebody in the family who's really sick, or you've come back from a hospital, you tend to come home and you'll sit something, you tend to sit something like this, all squashed up, or all shriveled up, because you're so heavy with the energy. This is where we learn from nature. And what you do is you typically stand up. And when you stand up, the very first thing you need to do is understand that you're connected to Mother Earth. I'm on the 6th floor, right, of a building. But I also am aware that the 6th floor has a foundation that goes into Mother Earth. This building has been built by experienced engineers who've created a strong foundation that connects every element of this being to Mother Earth. So I know that I close my eyes, I just take a deep breath, and I'm aware that I am connected to Mother Earth below, and I'm like a tree. I have roots that go deep into Mother Earth, and I'm like a tree with branches going all the way up to Father Sky. And I just do that, and I just do this. And you'll be surprised when you're really feeling heavy and low, just by shaking like a little dog, the difference it makes in your energy being. These techniques have been tried and tested over time. So whenever you feel really heavy, you feel that there's a lot of energy stored in, you feel that there's a lot of heaviness that you're feeling, just try doing a doggy shake. Okay. The next thing that I want to talk about is, and this, when you do the doggy shake, what you're doing is you're shaking off the excess energy. Today, when you're here, you're at a balance. You're listening, you're aware. But when you're in the moment, you're in the trauma, you're producing more energy than is needed. When you're angry, your body is producing so much more kinetic energy that it needs to be dissipated. And how do you do that? Do you know why when we are angry, we feel like hitting people? We feel like slapping people. We feel like when people are in rage, they destroy things. Because there's excess energy that needs to be released from the body. Which is why whenever teams play football or you go to war, the guys are charging you up. Let's shout, let's get in, go team, go. because you're creating excess energy. You can't go to play football saying, I'm so tired, I want to go. You have no energy left. You need to be charged up. And that's what you typically do. Now, the second thing I want to talk, so you saw doggy shake. The second thing I want to talk to you about is dowsing. Now, dowsing is a very simple tool, again, taught to us in shamanism and kinesiology, a beautiful tool. Okay, I'm sure some of you would have seen a crystal. Many healers carry a crystal or a pendulum that they shake, and which works with in sync with the nature. It works with the magnetic force of nature. Now, you can't carry a magnet everywhere. You can't. I mean, if you go to a mall and you see this beautiful top, and you're like, I want to buy this top, and you're going to remove the pendulum and do that for every top, I mean, people are going to think you're crazy. As it is, people think therapists and healers are crazy. They're going to think you're loony. So what we do is, I do this and it works like a charm for me. There you go, which are showing off the pendulum. What I do is, every time I'm in a conflict, and I'm amazed at how beautifully this works. Every time I'm in a small conflict like today morning, should I make dudhi ki sabji? Should I make bhindi ki sabji? I'm wondering, because these small decisions actually are really important, because they are what constitute our entire life. This is what I do. I go back to my same position. I stand. Yeah, I center myself. I keep my eyes closed. Center myself. And I ask myself, yes. No. Yeah, you see that the body itself douses. So if you don't have a pendulum or a crystal, the body itself douses. For example, should I teach the group today about self-talk? No. My name is Sangeeta Shah. My name is Hitesh Bhatia. Yeah. So we'll practice this. I want to show them to you. Then we'll practice this eventually, where we use the body as a pendulum. Now, the trick is, I have been doing this for a long time, so I can answer really complex questions also with this dowsing. Don't start by asking complex questions. Will my daughter get married to Ravi? Now, that's a very complex question. You hate Ravi and you're asking, will my daughter really do this? Always start with really simple questions. The body is giving you an indication. When you close your eyes, your entire being settles into one. The body gives you really simple suggestions. You start with the simplest ones. Always the first question should be, my name is what? So I start with, my name is Hitesh Bhatia, because I know that cannot be wrong. And it might at times take conditioning over time. It might take time. A lot of time people have told me, I tried the first time, it's not happening. That's because you're not connected to the body. So many times we're not even connected to the body. We don't even trust the intelligence of the body. This right here is the most advanced machinery the world has ever seen and will ever see. I mean, the fact that it can take any item you put into it, digest it, produce energy and produce life. No machinery can do that. So we need to learn to trust the intelligence of the body. It will come. It comes. We've done it so many times with joining hands. For some people, it comes in the first go. For some, it takes a little longer. It's not right or wrong. It's just you need to get more connected to the body. The third thing I'm going to...
If I may just intervene for a second here, Hitesh. So I'm really glad you're going to be taking everyone through this, because we use this extensively in Theta healing also. Right. And we call it muscle testing, where basically the muscles in your body, it's an application of kinesiology itself. And since we spoke about how some people cannot right away tune into it, one of the things that we speak about during muscle testing in Theta is that hydration really helps. Your muscles need to be hydrated for them to be able to respond to what it is. So at times, I mean, we've seen that difference where they cannot, of course, if you're not in tune with your body's intuition and wisdom, you're going to block yourself. But another simple thing you can do for yourself to help this process of muscle testing, as we call it, is hydrating yourself. So, I mean, after theta classes, people have beautiful skin because they have so much water through the process, just because they want to be extra sure that they're getting the correct answer. But it's your body's wisdom giving that, and your muscles being hydrated is what's going to allow for this technique to work easier and better as well. So I'm really glad you're taking them through this, because we do this in the basic class as well. Perfect.
Fantastic.
Please go ahead.
Thank you so much, Richa. Thank you. So yes, there is, of course, those, Richa mentioned rightly. I didn't know that, but I drink a lot of water. So maybe that's what also helps. But so that's the second technique, which is dowsing. The third technique is something called chair therapy, right? Now, we normally, as therapists, we do this with 3 chairs. As individuals, we do it with 2 chairs. So, and this is something that we've come up with over time. So can you see my chairs? Yeah. So I've put this up for you here. So when I sit down, let's say I'm in a real bad mood, or I'm angry, or I'm upset, what I do is I normally ask for a help of my partner or somebody else. So if there's nobody around, we have these 2 chairs that I sit down with. And I sit down saying, okay, what all am I feeling right now? I'm feeling so upset. I'm feeling, like, for example, I do a lot of procrastination myself. So I see, okay, I'm procrastinating. I need to do yoga. I really need to do my yoga every day. It's good for me. I know how it's going to help me and everything. So I just close my eyes. I see everything that's happening over here. And I let everything, all the emotions flow through my body. And they come to my hips. And I'm leaving that on the chair. And I gently am going to get up, keeping my eyes closed. I don't open my eyes, sit down, and I see myself here, and I see the heaviness, and I engage in a conversation with that heaviness. So I sit down and I say, okay, again, the idea is to keep your eyes closed, because then you look within, but I'm in a mental conversation saying, okay, Hitesh, what's happening with the procrastination? What is this telling you? Oh, this is that part of me that is feeling lazy, that really doesn't want to do anything. Why do I really need to do yoga? If you believe in energy work, the body can heal itself. So why is the need for yoga there? So what I do is I engage in a conversation. And then sometimes I come back again over here. And I take this role. But yeah, I really feel that I need to do yoga also. It's important to move the body. So this is a little similar. If you have read about Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, I forget the name of the scientist or the doctor who researched it. I think he was called Dr. Jekyll. But basically what he did was he realized that there are 2 parts of me. There is one, which is the aware part. I am aware that I am going through something. I'm aware that I am angry. I'm aware that I want something. And there's another part which likes being in that phase. So when I engage in a conversation with that part, a lot of times it's also possible that that anger is not mine, or that emotion that I'm going through doesn't belong to me. It could belong to my spouse, my child, my parents, my siblings. Because if you see your child unhappy, how many of you feel guilty being happy? Let's say your child has gone through, you feel guilty being happy, Anusha? Of course you do. All of us feel like that. If your child is unwell, let's say it's your birthday, and you have a child or you have a parent who's unwell, would you really want to celebrate? No. So you pick on, but it's your birthday. It's your most special day. You celebrated it every year by cutting a cake and shopping and doing everything for yourself. And it's very special for you that day. Or maybe you got something that you've really been wanting for a long time. You tend to pick up somebody else's emotions. And then you realize that doesn't belong to me, and I send it back to that person. But you become aware that this doesn't belong to me. My being is happy, but I'm currently being sad because I see that my family is unwell, which is, again, we talk about the aware part. And the fourth technique, or the other in this list is the fifth technique, is the chit or paper technique. When I realize that I have too many emotions, a word that I see a lot of youngsters use is, I am overwhelmed. I'm feeling overwhelmed. It's very difficult to explain what overwhelmed is, because it's a plethora of emotions. You're feeling so many things happening, you don't know what's happening. So what we do is we take 4 A4 sheets. Same like the chair therapy, we take 4 A4 sheets. On one A4 sheet, you write aware. And on the other 3 sheets, you write the other emotions. And you put them on a floor. And you if you played hopscotch as children, we jump from square to square. If I don't know if as kids you played, was it called hopscotch? When we had that box 2, 4 hopscotch, right? And you play like that. You jump from box to box. From here, you move from box to box. So you stand in the aware self. This is me, the aware self, centering myself. Now I'm going to stand in the angry self. Okay. Yeah, I can feel the anger. I can feel the rage. I can feel all of that. Now I move to the sad self. I'm so sad that the world is doing this to me. So I step in the sad self. When I do these 3 or 4 steps, I keep coming back to the aware self. I feel the anger. I be the anger. But I also know that I don't need to permanently be the anger. I just need to feel that at some point of time. Because the second you step on your aware self knows everything. The aware self has got you here. The aware self tells you that I need therapy. The aware self, as I says, I want to come back to a positioning. So when you do these things, so I've told you about 4 techniques: doggy shake, dowsing, chair therapy, and the paper technique. Things you can practice on your own. One thing I did not speak about is anchors. What really are anchors? So you all live in your house, right? You have a beautiful house that you've created with your own way. If similarly, we create our own friend circle, people who will uplift us, people who are nice to us, and we know who to go to for when. What we rather need to do in our life, in our house, in our bedrooms, create anchors, smaller reminders for what we represent and what we need to do. So for example, I have in my house a plant called the calm plant. When I am angry, like when I'm really angry about something, my mind automatically takes me to that calm plant because it's in my house. And that plant reminds me to be calm. In my bedroom, I have put these affirmations. I do affirmation coloring, and I've printed them and I've put them over there. What these do is they remind me that I need to be aware. It takes a little practice, but you need to create certain things for you, spaces for you. For example, you can even just take an A4 sheet of paper and write aware and stick it on your wardrobe. So that keeps reminding you that when you're really upset or when you're in pain. So we tried this for a young girl who was going through menstrual cramps. Okay. She was all of 14 years old and she would have terrible menstrual cramps, so much that they would not be controllable. So we asked her that, what do you need to do? And this was her own insight to come out of the menstrual cramps. She said, I need to forget that I have these cramps. Because she's saying, when I remember I have periods, I start the pain. But she says, I want to just forget. So we asked her, how will you forget? She said, I know I will forget when I can draw something. So what she did was we made her draw 4 or 5 paintings and put them around her room. Because every time she was in menstrual cramp, she would lie down on the bed and she would be in pain, put a hot water bag, and she would see the painting and it would anchor her that there is something you need to forget. Yeah. If you've seen the movie Inception, in Inception, they play with reality. So in the movie, the main, I think it's Leonardo DiCaprio. I'm not sure who it is. I forget the name.
Yeah, it is Leonardo.
He has this little thing he spins, which he keeps in his pocket every time. And they're asking him that, why do you do that? He says, when I am in an altered reality. This reminds me that this altered reality is not real. There is another reality there. So when I was doing my work, I started doing this, like a figure 8 infinity sign. This became my anchor. It's mine. You could do whatever works for you. So I realized I had a habit of doing this. We all have some of the other fidgeting habits. Some of us will, snap their fingers. Some of us, break our knuckles. So you figure out something that you do subconsciously. You just be aware. And this becomes your anchor. So whenever I was angry, it would sit in a pensive mood, so angry. I would be doing this. And this would suddenly remind me, this is not you. The angry self is not you. It is something you've become. And then suddenly, the second you acknowledge it, you come back into being your aware self. Yeah, I hope that makes sense. So we spoke about anchors, which remind us what we are. We spoke about the doggy shake, which releases excess energy. We spoke about dowsing, which to use when we are almost everything I buy, I do dowsing and I buy. So I have maybe 10 t-shirts, 12 t-shirts, but each one of them is important to me because my body has accepted that this is what you want to wear. So I don't have clothes that I don't wear. When people give me gifts, I ask myself, should I accept this? It says yes, so I accept. When we do the chair therapy, we're able to come out of emotional trauma that we're going through. Yeah. When we do the chit and paper technique, we know that we're going through multiple emotions, and which is why they've been aligned like that. The easiest is anchor, which you need to do today. Start creating anchors. Once you create anchors, make it a point to do a doggy shake before you sleep, and you see how beautifully you sleep. Because when you sleep, you carry, it's everything you've experienced throughout the day going into deep sleep, and which is why most of us don't sleep well. So before you go to sleep, you do the doggy shake. You shed all the excess energy. The milk was not bad today. The milk was bad today. That person who, shouted at me when I was, I was stuck in the traffic, or that one didn't listen. All of that is shaken off. You come to a beautiful, calm self, then you go to sleep. Dowsing, start with simple things. Should I wear the pink one? Should I wear the yellow one? Don't go, please, I request you, don't go with complex questions. My son wants to get admission in IIT. Will it happen? Yes or no? That you should only do once you've done dowsing for at least 30 to 40 times. Yeah? Chair therapy, I've told you, and chit paper technique, I've told you. Now you can try it on your own right now, but I know we're already beyond time, or we can take questions. When you
do we want to do questions today? What would you like to do?
I am okay. I know that you do questions on Friday.
No, I mean, I'm okay. But the questions, I mean, and there are a lot of them, the three over here. So I know that they're going to go into an extended discussion. We can definitely start one or two questions today as well.
So Anusha, family is more important is a conditioning. And it's really logical. Even in an aircraft, you're told put on your own mask before helping others. When you are imbalanced, how do you balance the family? So you are more important than family. When you understand that, then you start seeing how you can. I love my daughter, but I do not give her the permission to hurt me. And we can say I will die for my wife. Rather, I choose to say, if God forbid something happens to my wife, I will live in her honor. So family is important, but it shouldn't come into our boundaries. Sudha, when you say that you should see the paper, you don't really need to see the paper because there are 4 chits. So you ideally know what you already know what is happening. So you don't, the 4 chits are, you can see them once, aware, anger, sad, confusion, step into all of this. Kavita, what to do when you are the aware self? The aware self will tell you what you need to do. If the aware self is not guiding you, it's not the aware self, it's an influenced self. The aware self is ever knowing, ever guiding. It is your connection to your divine. So if you need to ask me what to do the aware self, you'll not reach the aware self. That's it. You're yet in one of the other selves. Yesterday's technique to be used to release fears, you mentioned, it can be released yesterday with Ho'oponopono, right? Yeah. It can be used to do anything, Anusha. What all can be released? You can release cancer through Ho'oponopono. Yeah, session.
Your recordings will be available to you. In fact, we'll see if we can make a carousel post also of all the pointers that Hitesh shared with us and the essence of each of them. We'll be tagging joining hands also, of course. We'll be putting that on Instagram for your easy reference, and we'll definitely share the video as well after the session.
Sure. Yeah, so that was a question. I think I have any more questions?
There is Shilpa's question that's there.
Yeah. I was just looking at Anusha's question.
Yeah,
so Anusha, if you look at everything being a belief and everything you have attracted in your life, you can work with everything with Ho'oponopono. I'll share a small experience I tried. I hate dentists. I mean, I have friends who are dentists. I know there are dentists in this group. I hate dentists. I mean, I think it's one profession nobody loves, you know, and it's something that I think from childhood, I've had a problem with dentists. I got a root canal done without anesthesia. I wanted to experiment. So it took a lot of, I hate dentists and I have low pain tolerance, but it took a lot from me to go sit in that chair and say, I just sat there only chanting Ho'oponopono because I knew the pain is not real. The aware self knows the pain is not real. The pain is nothing but what your mind creates. Because when I enter the dentist clinic, also my tooth start, I know I can start feeling that pain, that smell and that drilling noise, it just starts building up a image for you. So I did a root canal without, will I do it again? No. I mean, it took so much from me. I would rather take an anesthesia and get it done. But I know that it's possible and it could be done. Maybe in a few years from now, I will have the courage to do it again. But I got it done once and it worked like a charm. I mean, my dentist was amazed. So anything can be done with Ho'oponopono, but always remember you're talking to yourself, not to somebody else. And don't say, my daughter is sick, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, and I love you. You understand how you're feeling because your daughter is sick. Okay, Shilpa has a question. Why do we have to douse to choose t-shirt? We don't become dependent on dowsing, Shilpa. What we do is, if you're confused about a t-shirt, if you're so, a lot of times when we buy clothes, there are two kinds of shopping we do. I think there's a man kind of shopping. I'm being a little sexist. There's a man kind of shopping. There's a woman kind of shopping. When I go to the store, I like a t-shirt, give me all 5 colors. And I'll pick up all 5 and come back. I won't even try them on. When women go shopping, they'll be, show me this one in pink, show me that design in blue. Or, that guy will say, then I have that design in blue, pink, red, green, black. I want to try all of them and then figure that out. So when you're so confident, you're so much from your gut that this is something you want, you don't need to do dowsing. These are tricks that you need when you are not balanced and not aware. When you're confused, I bought a pair of shorts the other day that cost 7 and almost 8,000 rupees. And I'm wondering, do I really need shorts that come 8,000 rupees? But I'm like, I really like these shorts. And it's not I don't have the money. So why am I so confused? Then dowsing works very well.
I think everyone's partners would be really happy if they're using everything that they're getting for the house, all be like, please attend your morning sessions. They're really helpful.
Yes, it is. It's a lot. It's not only with clothes. It just works with simple things, because with dishes that you make, because, when you open the refrigerator every morning looking at vegetables, you have a plethora of vegetables. How do you choose what you want to cook today? What you want to eat today? Nobody really wants to eat Karela every day. You might love Karela, but it's not a happy vegetable you put on the table every day, but it's something you buy because it's good and you put it on the table. And then everybody's going to be like, why Karela and why like this? And it's just a simple thing that works. And simple things that these are just small. And I think once you acknowledge the anchor and the aware self, then you know what to use when. So you don't become dependent on dowsing. And even if you're dependent on dowsing, I don't see it as a harm, because you're only accessing the innate knowledge of your own being. You're not dependent on somebody else. You're not dependent on a therapist that you need to go for everything. This is your own innate knowledge.
I think Anusha has asked again about the paper technique and the four papers over there.
So is Ho'oponopono acceptance? I don't think so. Because how do you accept something you reject? So it's like this. When I say I want to lose weight, yeah, my mind stops at lose, doesn't go to weight. So do I want to lose anything? No. Does anybody in this room like losing? No, we're all conditioned to win. So how do you lose weight? Similarly, I'll say, I accept my body the way it is. And the body says, no, I don't like being fat. I know that there's so much conditioning. When we do Ho'oponopono is not about accepting, it's about taking responsibility. That this body here is not Hitesh. This body is called Hitesh, or my name is Hitesh, but I am not Hitesh. It's about saying that I am a collection of my experiences. Now, let me give you another example. I was introduced to alternate healing in the year 96. I was 16 years old then. I was introduced to Landmark Forum. And my first reaction was, what is this bullshit? What is this whole business around healing? One of my best friends is a therapist. She introduced hypnotherapy to me in 2009. I told her, you're a quack. I told her, "Aisa hota nahi, aisa kuch hota nahi." Now I can sit here and say that, oh my God, all these years were wasted. If I really embraced everything that came to me in 96, I would have been a different person today. But that's living in the past. So what I do is I tell and if I have that regret sometimes, that I wish I was introduced to this in 1996. I mean, I wish I accepted it in 1996. I wouldn't have had to go through those many years of trauma. But I understand now, I take that if I was introduced to this in 1996, a lot of the world around me would be different. So because I rejected it back then, I could, for a simple example, I could make all the money to do this for free today. If I hadn't done that, I would be charging to do the work today, because I have to run my house, right? Today, I can do everything for free because I know that I have made enough money to take care of me. But if I have a regret and I tell that part of me, I am sorry. To that part that feels the regret, I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I thank you and I love you. So it's not like acceptance, but it's like taking ownership that everything I am today is a collection of my experiences. Yeah. Fantastic. I think we're done for the day.
You were going to share something at the end. You said you had another question for everyone that was ready.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Yeah. I'm so sorry. I'll just put it on the chat. So now that you've understood all of this, and be honest when you reply to the answer. Okay. Are you option 1 or are you option 2? It's not what you want to be. Where do you see yourself today is the question. That's okay, Kavita. The paper technique will come to you when it needs to come to you. That's also part of acceptance. The aware self also understands that I will get what I need to get. The aware self understood that in 96, it wasn't time for me to get into alternate healing. If you're human beings, you wouldn't be here. Because you're not being, we're always doing. When is the time you take out to sit down with yourself? Do you prioritize yourself over something else? Yeah, now we all get it, that we're all human beings. So we're not human beings because we are not being at any point of time. The word being comes from to be. Yeah, to be. What is it to be? Just to be here, to be in the present, to be here equals to being. And doing comes from the word do. So what is do? Action. Tuck, tuck, tuck. Let's do things. From the time you open your eyes when you get up to the time you actually lay down on the bed, you're only doing. When you're a human doing, you're actually you're a physical being. When you become a human being, you become a spiritual being.
I think that's a great note to sort of end on, because I feel like that is something each of us aspire to be. And I think the reason a lot of us answer to as well is because human doing is a new term you're listening to. It's not something that doesn't quite register in your brain right away, but just to bring awareness to the fact as to how occupied we are with constantly, being occupied is also a task. I have to be occupied. Let me do this and this and this and this and this. And in that act, we just forget to give ourselves a little time to center, to just breathe and to just be. And that is the essence of what we were sent here to do and how we were designed. So I think in this journey of consciousness, and we thank you a lot for sharing your insights, if we just move towards being human beings, automatically the spiritual side and everything else will take care of it. Self, like, I mean, even when the answer one came, I was so tempted to say, guys, answer as to what you really feel in terms of your action in everyday life, not in terms of what the popular notion or norm is. But I think everyone's at a better point of awareness for that. So I think we look forward to meeting tomorrow, taking more of your questions if there are any, or experiencing these techniques as you had wanted to today, whatever seems fine for you. We can maybe douse on that as well. And we'll see everyone tomorrow at 9 o'clock. Thank you all so much for joining us. Thank you so much, Hitesh, for all your insights. Some amazing insights and amazing tools shared with us. The link will be available, and I will also have them share the post link if we make a post about the same.
Sure. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you so
Thank
much,
you.
everyone. See you
Thank you, everyone.
tomorrow.
Bye-bye.